Intro time recorded in my bedroom on a webcam, yeah! Hi, if you're watching on YouTube, hello, you can see me wave. If you're in podcast land, still hi, but just, not visually. For those of you that are watching for the first time, welcome. This is the A-Dub Club, where we talk about all sorts of fun, geeky stuff and ramble and attempt to be passably entertaining. I'm Whipple, and the other guy that you'll see in a few minutes is Wade, and it should be fun. If you're a returning club member, hi, welcome back, you're really cool. Today, Wade and I were going to record an episode, so we sat down to do a quick 15-minute chat, which turned into an hour and a half of us talking, so, yeah. Originally, we were going to break it down into 3 chunks based on the topics, and then release them in order, but it turned out that the last chunk was the most applicable and timely, and blah, blah, blah. So, the moral of the story is what you're going to get today is 40 delicious minutes from the end of our monster session, and they're all about our thoughts on The Hobbit. But unfortunately, unlike what we promised in the last episode, there is no Killian in it. Sad face. And if you refuse to listen to this in protest, I certainly won't hold it against you. But we'll have to get Killian on at another episode. Yay! These next few episodes, including this one, are both video and audio, because Wade and I are in the same state. Yay! So if you're watching on YouTube, you get to see the full video of us. And if you're listening on iTunes, you just hear the audio. There's plenty of video left for a couple more episodes, but then after that we'll have to switch back to audio only, because Skype sucks for video. The video is also split in half, just to deal with YouTube length limits. The podcast is not. It's just going to be one 40-minute shebang. But the video is split, and there will be like a little linky box if you're watching for stuff somewhere up here. I don't know. Figure that out later. This is from the end of our long chat, so there's some probably continuity stuff that makes no sense. There's also no start. It also gets darker as the episode goes on, and there may be references to things that we had already talked about, but you haven't seen, so have fun with that. Housekeeping. Subscribe on your choice of thing. If you're listening to this on iTunes, then subscribe on iTunes. If you're listening on YouTube, then subscribe on YouTube. And if you are super cool, then do both, because that is swaggy. You can follow our blog, which is theawclub.tumblr.com. There'll be a link in the downy there, and also a link in the show notes, and blah, blah, blah. That is both for just posting the episodes, but also we will be posting fun stuff. The last few weeks I've posted some Doctor Who things, and I've posted some trailers for new movies that are coming out, and it's basically just a fun way to, get all caught up on geeky stuff and chat about stuff, so that'll be good. In the same vein, you can follow our Twitter at the AW Club, and we'll have links to episodes and links to news articles and pictures and videos and blah, 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 whatever we feel like posting. So, enjoy that. If you have a story that you want to tell, or if you're angry at us, or if you think we're awesome, or you want to comment on a thing, you can email the show at theawclub@gmail.com. But the most number one important thing that you could ever possibly do is share this with your friends. Because while we love our little mini subscriber base to death, you guys are all the greatest, it'd be great to have even more awesome people to join the clubhouse. So if you have a friend that is like-minded in your geekery, or if you have an enemy that is oppositely minded in his geekery, then you should share this with them, because it is really cool to have a lot of people watching. That'll make us really happy. So, with all of that stuff out of the way, enjoy our extra long Hobbit review episode, and enjoy us being back. Hooray! In 3 dimensions. Not really. Whatever. YouTube. Fun. Bye.
I feel like we should not talk about The Hobbit. But, I don't know when we would.
When we would, because...
And it would be so far away.
So far away.
Or just, talk about it.
Sure.
Sorry, Killian.
Sorry, Killian.
If you're watching this, because you're a dick. But,
comment with your... Here's what'll happen. We'll do this thing. Killian, you can comment with your full write-up of your thoughts about it, and we will post that. I'll post it on the Tumblr thing, which Jeffrey reads, apparently. Shout out to Jeffrey. Because he reads on Tumblr.
I thought we hadn't posted anything in there.
I posted the episodes that were uploaded, and also reblogged Doctor Who stuff, because I was like, I have a Tumblr now, of course I'm going to reblog Doctor Who things. And it was while I was watching the Christmas episode, I was like, alright, let's go. Yeah. And I also posted a couple, I posted the new Superman trailer and stuff like that. But, so shout out to Jeffrey for that. But I can post Killian's write-up on that. And
okay.
Link to it on our Twitter.
We're going to talk about The Hobbit. No.
Yes.
I don't think they're playing.
Hobbit.
You want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Okay.
Okay.
I was disappointed. I just realized now I said okay and didn't. That was not a response to your question, but whatever.
Yeah.
Disappointed. But I've started to not be as disappointed because I'm the kind of person who likes to do the opposite of what other people do. So when I was in my group of friends that liked it, I was kind of like, I don't know about this. I'm a little skeptical. And then as soon as I went to people who were like, the Hobbit sucked, I'm like, oh, okay, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I'm a contrarian by nature.
I saw Midnight Premiere.
Yes, of course, me too.
And at first I was like, this is not The Hobbit. I still don't think it's The Hobbit. It's not in the tone. The story maybe is there, but the tone of The Hobbit is not there, in my opinion.
Okay, I see.
So I did not like that a lot. I really disliked that fact about it at first, but then I saw it again.
Okay,
it's like with the anticipation of like, okay, I know this isn't The Hobbit, and I really liked it. Like I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I did not particularly like it when I was watching it. My big reason for not liking it, number one, I was tired and cranky because it was finals week. It was late, and I hate 48 frames per second so much.
I didn't see it in 48 frames per second.
Bugged the shit out of me the whole time, and I know that's just because I'm not used to it. I'm 100% positive it's the kind of thing that, like, if I just watched a bunch of movies like that, wouldn't care in the slightest. But it actually made it unwatchable for me. I normally hate 3D. This was the one movie that I didn't mind the 3D at all because I was so put off by the 48 that I didn't notice the 3D at all. I just didn't even notice because I was spending all my time focusing on how weird soap opera Super Bowl-y it looked. I don't at all.
I didn't see it in 48 frames.
Good man.
I don't think I did. I feel like I would have noticed it. My opinion of it at first was like, this is the way of the future. This is going to happen. It's going to be something that's going to happen.
I don't like.
But I'm still not sure because it could be the uncanny valley effect. If you guys know what that is, it's so it's a graph of how close robots look to humans, and then how comfortable you are.
Robots or pictures or animations.
Yeah, pictures, animations, and how comfortable you are with it. So the graph goes basically like this, and then goes down.
Yeah.
And then it comes back up. After a gap.
So the idea being that there's a weird point where the closer you get to what a person looks like,
the creepier it is.
The more it unsettles you because it's
like it's human, but it's not a human.
It's kind of like there's a similar thing with sound where if you have two tones going, if they're more than I think it's 3 hertz apart, your ear can tell the difference. It can tell one is playing and another one's playing, so it can say that's different. If it's less than 3 hertz apart, your brain can't tell that there's 2 different ones, but it can tell something's wrong. It just doesn't know what it is yet. So that's what makes it's like it still sounds out of tune, but in a way that unsettles you, not just be like, oh, that's wrong. A lot of the best Pixar movies are the ones where you don't really see people, like they're fish, or if they are people, it's like Up, or
there was
or Incredibles, where they're cartoony.
A great example of that was Polar Bear Express.
Polar Express.
God, why keep saying Polar Bear Express? Polar Express was like...
It'd be cool if it was a train to full polar bears.
No, it's a great example of this because it was really weird and creepy. It was like, they're so human, but they're not.
Yeah, it just looked wrong. And then, of course, that technology got a lot better. And
I think...
You have, like, Avatar, for example, used the same technology, but just a much, much more sophisticated version of it.
Yeah.
And then it actually worked out fine. It also helped that they weren't human. Like, it was mapping it to an animal, and so you see the animal, and you're like, okay, it's far enough away from it. But the idea being that once you get human faces are so difficult to do that you eventually, if you can get past that uncanny valley, you'll launch back into, okay, it looks like a real thing.
So that's why I think at least, is a possibility of why it looks really weird because our eyes are 60 frames per second. Yeah, they're 60 frames. I know this because video games, that's a gold standard.
Okay.
Yeah, 60 frames per second is how fast your eyes can see. So 48 is like in that valley, basically.
Okay, interesting.
That's a possibility.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, because it doesn't bug me when I'm watching like a sports thing, although that involves me.
Sports frames, 48 frames per second.
If they're in HD, they're usually filmed at a higher frame rate.
I did at first when I saw HD, I was really bugged out by it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it at first, or I did notice it at first, and then I got used to it. And I think I was also talking with my dad about this. What he says is that, like you said, you blink 60 times per second. You see things at roughly your brain takes its image at roughly 60 frames per second, I assume. So what it means is when it goes from 24 to 48, it actually looks more like real life, but it looks less like a movie. And we're used to watching movies not looking like real life; they look like something else. Whereas things like video games or sports, it's not trying to make you feel like you're watching a movie; it's trying to make you feel like real life unless it's going the opposite direction and is trying to be cinematic and movie-like. So it's interesting. I don't like it. I don't want it to happen. One thing I'm worried about, I read an interesting article saying that one of the big problems with 48 frames per second is that if this is the way of the future and every movie from now on is made in 48, then what's going to happen to all the then everyone who watches everyone who grows up watching that is going to go back and watch movies in 24 and be like, oh, okay, well that looks as bad to us as like or bad to them as like us watching a 48 or like us watching a 12 frame per second old movie. And it's which makes me sad because that means the kids are going to be watching Star Wars just for like it's only like movie geeks are going to watch Star Wars. Although, also, people have said it's pretty easy to use computers to fill in the gaps. So, like, turn a 24 frame thing by basically using a computer to figure out what the middle frame would be. So you double it, so you turn 24 to 48. And even easier to do that the other way around, 48 cut down to 24, because all you have to do is just chop out every other one. But so it's not actually something to be that worried about, but still, it's like. Okay, here we did some dislikes. Let's talk about likes.
Yeah, I really liked the really goofy scene in the Hobbit hole with the dwarves and like the plates and stuff.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I really liked that. I didn't want the whole movie to be like that.
And I would have liked maybe not 20-25 minutes of that, maybe like 10 minutes of that.
What do you mean?
Of the whole like in the maybe not the plate scene, but like the whole thing in the Hobbit hole and the dinner and stuff like that. I mean, my biggest problem with the movie is just it was too long.
Okay, that's fair.
So just like things need to.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, I agree. I liked the silly bits.
It's funny. It's the silly bits. Like I like the silly bits, yes, but also something that I've said before is the surrealistness of it.
Yeah.
So like the way how they're like bouncing the plates and they're like
fun.
They're singing and stuff, and there are ways to make things that are surreal that aren't necessarily fun.
Yeah.
Or even silly that are like. That's what I felt like because I just read The Hobbit right before I saw the movie, and that's what I felt like the tone of the book was was a lot. So more it's like
it's surreal but not lighthearted necessarily.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
like,
far more lighthearted than Lord of the Rings is.
Undoubtedly, but there are parts of it that aren't lighthearted.
Yeah.
That are still like surreal, like another thing. Radagast.
One cool example of like surreal and crazy but not lighthearted at all. The mountain. Giant stone giants thing that like that was one of my hands down favorite parts. Like even though I didn't like the 48 frames per second, I was sitting there watching it and like looking at the screen and I was blown away. It just was like, this is amazing.
See, I liked it,
loved it to death.
It wasn't in the book, so I was like, why the fuck did they put this in here? That was what I was thinking. But now that I think about it, I really like that.
I was like watching it and I was like, which this is something that I've gone to arguments with people. Other people didn't. They were like, it was too long, it was pointless and stuff like that. And I was kind of like, yeah, I guess I could see that, but I thought it was too long.
Yeah, it was pointless and it was ridiculous, and it was that's what the book was.
Yeah. I mean, because my
that's what I really liked about the book.
Yeah, my problem with it was that there were a lot of stuff in there that was just too long, scenes that needed to be cut. There was a lot of things that I thought just could have been cut, and some of the problem is that some of the stuff that I think should have gone were things that I haven't read the book since probably elementary school. But were things that I was talking to other people, and they were like, "Oh, well, you can't cut that because it's in the book and it's an important part." And I'm like, "Okay, that's true, but maybe it's in the book, but it would make for a better movie to get rid of it." And the biggest example I think of that is the ending. So, just like, there's a perfect ending. They have their nice little hug it out. He shows up and he's like, "You know what? I wouldn't have believed in me either, but you don't have a home. I have a home and you don't have a home, and I'm going to fight for it." And they hug it out, and everything's great.
That would have been perfect. 20
minutes of fighting and cool fight scene, but it's like it is the definition of anticlimactic because the movie resolves. The movie is about, will Bilbo find his be able to do this thing, and will they come to accept him and stuff like that? Will he run away? Will he do something like that? And then he finally says, "Nope, I'm good. We're going to do good to do this." And they're like, "Sweet, the gang's all here, fight." And it was a cool moment of him risking his life to save Thorin, but it was still like.
Also, there were just lots of bits that they added in, like, I don't know, Radagast, I didn't like at first, but, like, the more I think about it, like, the second time I saw it, I liked him a lot more.
Yeah, he was another thing that I actually really liked all the Radagast scenes, but I would have liked them if they were, like, 2/3 the length.
Yeah. Like he wasn't in the book.
Yes, he
was
was
maybe
added in.
mentioned or something in the book one time, and I was like, "What? Why is he here? That's pointless, unnecessary." But like, that was the spider scene.
Yeah,
That was like
that was cool.
That was really cool.
I liked it.
Creepy. I felt like it could have been a whole lot more overdone.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to my surreal thing.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted it to be more surreal, and if everything is just overdone, that makes it surreal.
Okay. Yeah.
And that,
I can see that.
That feeling that I got from the book was like,
this isn't real life. This is
it
magical
felt,
Hobbit land.
Exactly. It felt like a children's book.
Yeah.
And I love that because everything was like so much bigger than life.
Which Lord of the Rings doesn't feel like that. It's something different, and it tried to be Lord. And the thing is, which is kind of what bothers me about it. One thing about it is that what I remember from The Hobbit is that The Hobbit is not a big story. The Hobbit compared to the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings is the story of Middle Earth. It's about we need to save all of Middle Earth. It's about all these different threads coming together. The Hobbit is about Bilbo going on a journey and going there and back again. That's what the story is about. It's not about.
It's a children's book.
It's not about what does this mean for the whole world. And the movie, and I think the trilogy, is gearing itself more towards
the world.
The world, because like you have the whole adding in.
Like in the book, it literally happened that Smaug was killed.
Yeah,
that wasn't like a plan.
Yeah, but like adding in in the books, apparently, again, this is just me talking to other people who've read it more recently, Gandalf just disappears for a while. He disappears for a while, and no one knows what he does, and then in the appendices they say, oh, he went to go meet with Elrond and Saruman and Galadriel, so all of that stuff did actually happen, we just don't read it in the book. It's in like the appendixes and stuff like that, because J.R.R. Tolkien was like, that's what Gandalf went off to do, and then he comes back. But that's not the story of The Hobbit, that's the story of Middle Earth. And so now they threw it back in because they're gearing up, I think, towards... Yeah. What I've heard, and this may end up not being true, is that the second movie is them fighting Smaug and defeating Smaug, and good stuff happens.
See,
and then the third movie is what happens between the Hobbit and Fellowship. So it's them fighting the Necromancer. It's them. So they're adding in a bunch of extra stuff to sort of bridge the gap, which makes me more okay with the fact that it's a trilogy. My dad was one that was super like, this just seems like what are they going to throw it in? It's like it's not necessary to make it 3, which I agreed with. But then I was like, well, they're making it 3 because they're telling a different story than the actual story of The Hobbit, or they're telling an extra story. Yeah. So we're going to say good stuff.
I don't know. That was also another complaint I had. Gandalf, he's supposed to be this mysterious in the books. I think he was Gandalf from Lord of the Rings and not Gandalf from the Hobbit book. He was in the book. My impression of him was this powerful wizard who you didn't really know. Yeah. Like, why is he with this company of dwarves?
Exactly.
You don't know. Where did he go? He's gone for like 3 weeks at a time, and then just in the nick time comes and save you, and then and then like which is cool because
you have that. It's just like
this mysterious
mentor who just sort of shows up and does whatever he wants, and it's cool. And
I don't think they ever questioned him. They were never like Gandalf, what the F are you doing, man? Come at me, bro. They were always just like, oh, shucks, Gandalf left. I wish he was here with us.
Skippy darn.
Skippy to darn do.